everyone, I'm JD from Willowbound Journals. Hope you guys are doing really well. So in this month, in February, I am doing the Psalms journal course. So I thought every Sunday this month I would read out one of the Psalms and go through my process of how I journal about it and let it speak to me. And yeah, if you would like to be part of this course, you can join anytime, and I'll share more information about that at the end of the video. But I'm going to read it out first, and then I'm going to share how it speaks to me and a story of how this psalm in particular really helped me in my life at an early time, which has held me in good stead for the rest of my life. So let me read it out. It is Psalm 6, and I'm reading the NIV translation. Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger or discipline me in your wrath. Have mercy on me, Lord, for I am faint. Heal me, Lord, for my bones are in agony. My soul is in deep anguish. How long, Lord, how long? Turn, Lord, and deliver me. Save me because of your unfailing love. Among the dead, no one proclaims your name. Who praises you from the grave? I am worn out from groaning. All night long I flood my bed with weeping and drench my couch with tears. My eyes grow weak with sorrow. They fail because of all my foes. Away from me, all you who do evil, for the Lord has heard my weeping. The Lord has heard my cry for mercy. The Lord accepts my prayer. All my enemies will be overwhelmed with shame and anguish. They will turn back and suddenly be put to shame. So what I do is I read the psalm first of all, then I go through it a second time with a highlighter, and I just use one of the pastel Tombow dual brush pens as my highlighter because I like how it's pastel and doesn't go through to the other side. Then I go through it a third time and I underline anything that is really jumping out at me, that either speaks to me right now in this season I'm going through, or if not every psalm and not every time you read the Bible it's going to meet you where you're at, but to be curious, and if there's a line that you're curious about, or a line that intrigues you, or a line that's speaking to you in some other way, I underline that, and then I sort of interrogate it. I ask questions of it. I get curious about it and think more deeply about it. Go like, why is this like calling to me at the moment? What is it about this line that I've underlined? And then I kind of explore that further and write about that. But this one, it speaks to me because this psalm really helped me at a time in my life when I was still, a young Christian, and I'm just going to read out this story that I wrote in my Bible. I love how we can add our own story, and I'm just drawing some tears on the page because what I underlined was, I am worn out from my groaning. All night long I flood my bed with weeping and drench my couch with tears. Another translation, I think in the NLT, it says, I am worn out from sobbing. I drench my pillow with tears. And let me just share this story. So I became a Christian when I was 14, and for the first 3 years of my sort of Christian walk, it was rosy, it was butterflies and rainbows. I call it the honeymoon stage, the honeymoon Christianity. It felt like God was really close and he was answering every prayer in big and miraculous ways, and it was just amazing. And then I went through my first desert, a time where it felt like God wasn't there, and it was really painful and very confusing because my natural thoughts turn to, your thoughts are thinking, trying to come up with a logical explanation. And as a human, as me, my thoughts went to naturally, if I'm going through this painful, confusing time and it feels like God isn't here, then that must mean God doesn't love me anymore. And so he's left me. And that I was crying, night after night, crying, because I didn't understand, what happened? And then I turned to this psalm. Well, I read this psalm, and it was just amazing how it was describing exactly what I was going through. Like, that's me. I'm flooding my bed with tears night after night. My pillow is getting drenched in tears. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in the Bible. And then it comforted me because it gave me comfort with the line, "For the Lord has heard my weeping." Ah, the Lord has heard my cry for mercy. The Lord accepts my prayer. And I was like, oh, thank you, God, you are there. You're here. You hear me crying, because I was like praying and praying, like, God, where are you? Answer my prayer. Answer me. And I just felt like there was no answer. There was nothing. And I'm like, okay, he's gone. He's left me. He doesn't love me. But then when I read this, I was like, no, the truth is he hears me. He's heard every single prayer I have prayed, and he's seen every tear I have cried or wept. And he answers. And so through this prayer and some other things that happened in my life at the time as well, I learned that, yeah, God does always answer prayer. It's just that, sometimes he answers with yes, sometimes he answers with no, and sometimes he answers with wait. I didn't like the wait. The wait was painful. The wait was very confusing, but it gave me a very important lesson that the wait doesn't mean he's not there. The wait doesn't mean he's not listening, and the wait doesn't mean he's not answering. He's always there. He's always loving you, and he always hears you. He's always with you. He will always answer. It's just sometimes there's a wait, and I've grown to, like, of course, throughout my life there have been times of waiting, and again I've been like, are you there, God? Oh no, have you left me again? Do you love me anymore? But then this time I can always turn back to the psalm and be like, oh yeah, no, this is just a waiting time. This is just a waiting time. And like seasons, we all tend to go through seasons of desert and winter. And sometimes, I worry about new Christians, because, when you first become a Christian, it's like the most amazing thing, and it's so exciting, it feels so tangible. And I'm just like, okay, but the true test is when you go through your first desert and when you go through your first winter. Are you just going to drop it and be like, I don't have the warm fuzzy feelings anymore, it doesn't feel electric anymore, I'm out? Or will you do what I did and go through the suffering and the confusion and believe lies? So I believed lies, that God didn't love me anymore, that he left me, that he didn't hear me. I believed the lies, and I worry that new Christians, when they go through that season, or any time in your life when you go through that season, I'm just going to loop this, I worry that they'll just be like, okay, well, I give up on that then. It's like, no. Same with, like, when you meet a new friend or a marriage or whatever, it's all very exciting at the start. It's like, I've got this new friend or partner, and yay, we're doing life together, we're getting to know each other, and it's so real and tangible, and all those feelings of love. And then you hit your first rocky patch or whatever. It's like maybe that the person disappoints you, or they do something that you don't understand, and it's very confusing, and you can either drop it and get out of that relationship, or you can push through and get to something even more meaningful and something even deeper. And I kind of see that the same way as with God. At the start, at the beginning, it's all very exciting and new and wonderful, but the real test is through those rocky times. There's times where I argue with God, there's times where I don't like him, there's times where I wrestle with him, and that's okay. I stick with it, and sometimes I don't feel like sticking with it, but the great thing with God is he will always stick with it too. He's all in the relationship. He can take your pain, he can take your arguments, he can take it when you don't like him. He can take it when you actually full and yell at him and hate him and are angry at him. He can take it when you give him the silent treatment. He can take it when you run away from him or when you abuse him. I've done all of the above to him, and yet he is all in this relationship, and he's like, bring it, I'm here, I'm with you. And through that, the more years you do that, the deeper and more rich and amazing this relationship becomes. Yes, it might not feel as exciting and amazing and wonderful and starry-eyed when I first became a Christian, but it's this deeper, richer, more solid, more stable thing in my life. And I always hope, for new Christians and any Christian, wherever you are on your journey, I hope you can get to that place and withstand and push through the times of desert and winter, and with the Bible to know that truth, that, you know, just because you're going through these feelings and thoughts and situations of doubt and darkness and distress, to not let that be your truth. To come, like for me, going back to the Bible always reminds me, oh yeah, don't lose sight of that truth. I forget that. Like I'm going through this thing and it made me think, oh, God doesn't love me, or God's not with me anymore. It's like, oh no, we're all good now. I remember. That's just my feelings. That's just my situation making me think that way. But I will believe the truth that even though I don't see it around me, I know He's there, and I know He loves me, and I know He always comes through in the end, and He always has His timing, which doesn't match up with my timing, and He sometimes says wait, and you know, all that kind of thing. So yeah, this psalm really comforted me with what I was going through at that time as a new Christian. It encouraged me, and it still does to this day. You know, whenever I'm going through a hard time, I can go back to the psalm and just be like, oh yeah, I remember. He's there. He's always listening. So, you know, it answered my prayer back then, where I was saying, God, where are you? Are you even listening? Do you even love me? Where have you gone? And it answered all my prayers with that, and it taught me this fundamental lesson that I had to learn, and I'm so glad I learned it early on, because I like I said, I worry with Christians struggling later on in life when they go through their desert and their winter. I so want them to just believe the truth, or know the truth in their own life, that God loves them, that God is with them and He hears them, and that for me, I learned that very early on, and it was one of those lessons that I learned in an instant type thing. Like, yes, of course, sometimes I forget it, but I can, as soon as I read this, it's back again. I don't have to go through that lesson over and over and relearn it over and over again in this big way. And I would love for everyone to learn this lesson. Again, trust everyone's journey. Everyone's got their own journey and their own way of learning and their own timing, and that's beautiful and rich. And one thing I have to let go of is being a fixer and wanting to protect people from suffering, and wanting to give people the lesson so that they can skip the lesson. And it's like, no, people learn in their own time, and they've got to learn it through experience, and they've got to go through their winters to get their lesson. And sometimes I just want to skip that for them, be like straight to the thing, like, no, it's all good, you're all good. It's like, no, sometimes they have to go through the feelings of feeling that things aren't good to get to the lesson, and I have to take my hands off, be like, okay, just let them travel their journey. God's got them, and they've got themselves, you know. Give them credit, they've got their own journey to go through. But anyway, as for me, yeah, I learnt this really early on, you know, and just a key lesson. It taught me that God is always there, He always hears me, He always answers prayer, and He always loves me. And to be okay with the wait. So I hope that this was encouraging. And oh man, I just love how I love how the Psalms in particular, with all the Bible, but the Psalms in particular, they meet me where I'm at, and they can just give me so much encouragement with what I'm going through in my darkest times. It gives me comfort, and yeah, just I hope you find that too in the Psalms. If you want to do the Psalms journaling course, you are most welcome to join anytime. You can just check the description box below, what am I saying, and there is a link to the course website where you can sign up. There's a full price, half price, and $5 option to suit any budget, and yeah, you can just watch the videos one per day, or you can, you know, set aside a time during the week and watch 3 a day, or binge watch them all. But my aim is hopefully to lead by example as I do this, to help you read the Psalms yourself, and to journal about them, use the tool of journaling to connect with God, go deeper with Him, and really explore the Psalms and how they're speaking to you. So I hope that this is something that is accountable for me. The reason I have it as a course, and in particular as a paid course, is because I need that accountability. If it's something where I put my money in it, and you know, am taking other people along with me on this journey, doing it together, reading the Psalms together, journaling together, then I will do it. If it's not a course, I need structure, and I need accountability, and I know how I work, and on my own, I won't keep up with it. So I do paid courses from other people when I need it, because that gets me doing stuff. And I know not everyone needs that, but that is a tool and a strategy that I've identified in my own life, where I can be really intentional about putting in place something that I want in my life. And I know that if I need to do someone else's paid course to help with my creativity, or to help get in touch with myself, or to get back into journaling, I will do that, hands down, because that's so helpful for me. So that's why I'm doing this course for me. I always do my courses first and foremost for me. I want to get in the Psalms, but I know like 10 days in I might be like, I'll just skip this day. And then skipping one day means skipping the whole month. But if it's, a paid course with other people coming along with me, oh man, I'm there every day. I will show up and I'll be there. And that just really helps me. And if that's going to be something that helps you, then that is there for you. All right, guys, hope you're doing really, really well. If this spoke to anything you feel free to comment or message me, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. Special thank you to my beautiful patrons who supported me in January. If you would like to become a patron in February, and the link is down below, and that is where you get access to extra videos, all my printables, all my digital kits in my Etsy. There are post tiers, mail tiers, and journal tiers as well. There is a Marco Polo tier and just lots of fun stuff over there. There is also a link to all of my available courses down below in the description box. You can join those anytime for all of my Patreon and courses. They're monthly subscriptions that work just like Netflix or Spotify, and you're charged on the date that you sign up, and you can cancel anytime.